Right. Hello. Okay, I think everything is live. So, welcome to another live stream. And yeah, it's a day later than what I've been doing so far. That's probably going to be the case at least for another week. Just because I've got something on Wednesdays now. Shouldn't make a ton of difference given that most people seem to be watching those after the fact on YouTube, anyways. So, just wanted to give a bit of an update quickly on where things stand with Incus. And then, as the title suggests, I'm going to be going on to more of a bug fixing spree there. So, might not actually, I think the issue list is actually similar to last week, except that I've managed to rip out the Ubuntu fan support. That was one of the items that needed to still be removed prior to the release, so that's been done. The other thing is I've made a lot of progress on like reshuffling everything onto the new CMD package. So if we look now at the code tree, the biggest issue we had for a while has been a number of files directly in that shared package that were like, it was kind of that pattern in open source projects where you just have like a util.go or util.something file with just like 50,000 small functions that do all kind of weird stuff. And we wanted that to go away because like one of the goals with the reorg of all of the Go packages in Incus is to have a clear set of packages that are exported externally, that have pretty stable API that we test and everything, and then a list of packages that are for internal consumption where we can break things at any point. So now everything that's in shared is just that. There are packages that are used externally. They're fine, they're tested. In general, we're not going to break API on those, at least not without a very good reason. So that's what we have there. And then we've got internal that has a bunch more packages, and those are for internal consumption only. The issue with shared was, those extra files. So we had instance.go that had a bunch of functions, and then util.go that had literally 50, 60, 100 or something functions, like really a lot. And so I spent the past couple of days just picking all that stuff apart, splitting it into different chunks. Some of it ended up in the shared package because it still needs to be used externally, but most of it has been moved into internal now. So that really cleaned things up. Now there's one more step I'm probably gonna be doing tonight or tomorrow, is we can see the incusd package is still there. This needs to move under command, which you'd think is a simple matter of just renaming the thing, and you'd be right, except that I don't like having sub-packages inside of a command package. So if we look at this one, we see it's got a lot of sub-packages here. So the idea is that all of those will be moved under internal, either at the root of internal or within like an internal daemon sub-package or something like that. So all of those will move, and then all of the references to those things need to be updated. And at that point, this package will only include files, no more directories, and it can move into command/incusd, and the actual file reshuffle will finally be done on the repo. So I expect another day or two to really sort that one out, and then we'll be fine. So that's progress on that front. Now, as far as other blockers, there is the moving of the commands under Incus admin. So I think that's what I'm going to be using most of today's live stream to sort out. It's kind of going through those. The documentation, once I've done a pass, actually updating the documentation, I'll close that one. That will go away. And then focus probably next week on the tooling to import from canonical LXD. So we'll be importing most likely 5.18, so all the way to 5.18 into what will become most likely Incus 0.1. So that's the goal. That will also need some changes to the migration tool that imports from LXD into Incus. So I still need to do a bit of work in that tool to support importing from LXD 5.17, 5.18, and fix some storage issues with it. and also support migrating from 502, which is what Debian ships as a deb. So just putting that in place, and I want to have that stuff sorted before the initial release of Incus. But otherwise, like I'm pretty optimistic. We were saying end of September, early October, and well, it's right around now. With the month ending on Saturday, it's not gonna be end of September realistically, because it's just 2 days. But I'm hopeful for a 0.1 release, hopefully end of next week. That would be really nice. It's not impossible that some stuff will take longer, like documentation and things, than expected, but it's a 0.1 release, so I'm quite hopeful. The biggest question, I guess, will be how easy it's gonna be to import those commits coming from LXD. LXD 5.17 is not a very complex release, it's mostly bug fixes, so that should be okay. I've not looked too closely at 5.18 yet. So importing those could delay the release of Incus by another week, but I'm hoping not. So that's kind of where we stand. The other thing that I just want to show, because well, I'm quite proud of it, is the online demo for Incus, which has been improved a fair bit. So if we just go onto the demo site, we see there's one user on there. It used to take, I don't know, maybe 15-20 seconds to get a session going. Now I've added support for preceding instances. So if we go look at the code there in Incus demo server, there we go, and look at the comments, we can see some changes that happened recently. So yeah, it supports now pre-allocating instances. So I actually did 2 changes. Well, 3, I guess. There was a downtime because of a big power cut. Like I've got UPSs and stuff, but the power cut was over 2 hours here. So we did lose the demo server for about half an hour last weekend. So that's when I spent some time to improve the maintenance mode and effectively have the server support starting up, even if the backing cluster is not responding. And if that's the case, then show a message saying that, yeah, something's wrong, server is in maintenance mode now, but also support configuration to specify a different maintenance message so that I could say there's a power cut going on, come back in like half an hour, it should be fine. So I've implemented that, that's this change here. And starting without a backing server, it was the other thing I mentioned. And then because I was seeing the creation time being a bit long and some people may be giving up at like 15-20 seconds-ish, I added support for progress reporting. So the API for the demo server can now show downloading image, creating instance, configuring instance, waiting for network. So it can show those states and it will show that as you create the instance. But then actually, I did some work that actually made this pretty much irrelevant by adding support for the server to pre-allocate instances. So it can now be configured to say, hey, I want 2 instances to be ready at any given time, so that if someone asks for a session, you can immediately use those. And that makes it so much nicer. So that's how it's currently configured. There are 2 instances that should be ready at any given time. And as soon as someone consumes one, it gets backfilled with another pre-allocated instance. So when we look at the demo page here, we now see there are 2 users connected. And if I just say, yeah, start, there we go. The session is like instantaneously started. And that's because it used one of those pre-existing instances. And now as soon as it did that, it marked this one as now being allocated to me, and it immediately wants to create another one. The pre-allocation also has a nice trick up its sleeve because instances, like they get refreshed multiple times during the day for different package updates, different things. So we don't want those pre-allocated image instances to linger too long. So they are set with a, I believe, 2 hours expiry. So after 2 hours, they get deleted and replaced by a new one. So that means there's no like stale instance just being kept around. It will just always be pretty fresh when the user asks for it. Other than that, there's not been any significant change. I think I did some small tweaks to the CSS and JavaScript stuff. I added think I was trying to make this tip a bit more visible, because some users are talking about like copy paste not being easy, not realizing that you can literally just click on the text to have it be automatically copied and read for you. So I tried to make that a bit more visible. Something I'm actually looking forward to, we'll see if that actually happens, but now that instances can be created so quickly and so easily, we may be able to have examples inside the documentation come with a link that you can click and will just run the code directly inside of an instance, possibly an instance with a shorter time. So say you would see like a page saying this is how you set up I don't know, some storage of some kind. There could be like example of how to do it, and then you click a link and it just runs that for you instead of an instance that's got like a 5 minutes expiry, so you can see it run, see it work for yourself, maybe poke around a bit, and then it goes away. So that's just a thought, but something that should be a lot easier to deal with now. All right. Alright, so looking back now on the GitHub side, if we go look at pull request, so the main issue I'd like to focus on for today is this one, which is moving daemon commands over to Incus admin. Currently, Incus admin init has been done, but now we've got a few more to do. And you can see here, like we have a great community member who did the work on the init one, and wanted to do the others as well. Like he's got a list here of other commands that needed to be worked on, but then didn't have pull requests and stuff up in a couple of weeks, and we need that sorted out. So I pinged him last night and he just pushed to GitHub whatever he had. So we've got 3 draft pull requests covering SQL, shutdown, and wait ready. And I think we're going to start by actually working on those. So we can see that they're currently failing tests. Can go see what's going on with them. Looks like the commit also needs some renaming. There's some conflicts. The changes I did last night really made a bit of a mess in the entire code base. So it's normal for nothing to be mergeable pretty much. So I'm gonna go one by one on those branches, just rebase them on the current main branch, get them building, reshuffle the commits a bit, and also then, well, just push into that branch, have the tests run, and then we can merge them. So that's kind of the idea. Let's pick an easy one to start with. I think shutdown should be a good first start. Okay, so it should move. There are currently 2 commits in this one. One which moves Incus the shutdown to Incus admin shutdown. So it just moves it to the CLI package. Okay, you can see the rename, few tiny changes here and there. And then here we go. One thing that I believe is missing is this one would need, sort of the Incus admin commands need a tag so that they don't build on anything other than Linux. So it needs that tag. That's missing here. So that will cause build failures on macOS and Windows. So that's just one small thing to fix. And then the other commit was to change the tests over to using Incus admin shutdown. So that's good. And that should work fine. Let's look at the test failures, but it's most likely caused by the changes I did last night, and that got merged an hour or so ago. Yeah, so it's actually looking very good. The draft pull request only has 1 failure here on the random test. So that's actually looking very, very nice. We can see it actually managed to build on macOS, Windows. It's kind of odd. I guess the functions themselves don't need anything that's Linux specific, but the core admin command itself doesn't exist on those platforms. So it's effectively a waste of code to build that all on those platforms. All right, so let's look at that. The branch is named Incus the move shutdown command. So if I go into VS Code here, I'm just gonna switch, and again, I'm not a great VS Code user. I tend to do everything from this command line instead of actually using the UI. But you'll see me go with move Incus D shutdown. It actually has two. I'm confused. Which one is it? Incus D move shutdown command. Okay, so it's this one we want. Cool. So switch to that branch. Okay. And then I'm gonna rebase that onto main. Just making sure. Okay, so that looked good. I was expecting some more issues and conflicts and the like, but that went pretty smoothly. Now let's go with. So I'm gonna do an interactive rename that lets me go and do some minor editing on the commits. So that's mostly just for nitpicking reasons here. This one goes into CMD Incus, so I would do this, move Incus D shutdown to Incus admin shutdown. That's good. The sign off should have a proper first name, last name, which is not the current format. I'm just rechecking the. What did we do for? Yeah. So just copy paste a full name here, just tweaking that. And that's maybe a feature that not many people are aware of, but with GitHub, if you're a maintainer of the repo, most of the time you can actually edit in the branch of the person that pushed the code. We should obviously be reasonable about it. Like, don't go and edit everything and pretend to be them. But it's kind of convenient for those kind of smaller edits, because you don't need to like take those commits, close the pull request, and then have a pull request open by yourself. You can just go and fix it in place. So let's do that, and then that becomes tests using Incus admin shutdown. Okay, so that looks fine. And then the other edit I need to do, that I can actually maybe use VS Code for instead of just using the command line. So if I look at shutdown, which is admin shutdown, there we go. If we look at the other admin functions, they should all have that build tag. Just actually make sure they all do. So this is other, it's fine. Linux. Yeah, they're all good. Okay, so that's fine. Let's just go ahead and put this one there. Save. I'm just making sure there's nothing as that changed. Very good. I usually go with a pretty lazy approach of just making a random commit name, then rebase, move it where you want it, and then using fixup to say edit the previous commit and merge the two together effectively. Okay, so with that done, we now have, you can see two commits with the proper sign off. My edit is so minor, I'm not even gonna add my name to that. That GitHub will track it properly, so that's fine. And because I did edit history, I need to git push force. And now if we go back here, we should see that this one is now running through its tests. We can do the draft from the name because it's no longer a draft. It should actually be perfectly fine. And yeah, the tests are now running on there, so that's good. One issue we're probably going to be getting is that we're modifying the same, effectively the same piece of code over and over again. So it being 3 different pull requests is going to be a bit of a problem because they're going to conflict with each other. I think what I'm probably going to be doing here is actually retitle it again to move Incus D commands into Incus admin, and then we'll really use that one as a placeholder for the whole thing. So I'm just gonna retitle this, move some more commands to Incus admin, and I'm only gonna do the 3 that he did submit, so that I'm not pretending and not abusing his branch for stuff that he didn't do. So that is Incus admin shutdown. There's Incus admin wait ready, I believe, and Incus admin SQL. I think those were the three. So we're gonna do that, and now, so effectively that one is now marked as ready, and it's gonna go through tests and stuff. The other two, I'm gonna be putting their commits into that first branch, make everything line up properly, push, and then close the two pull requests. So we've got one pull request that has all three commands, and then that can go through its tests, and like about 45 minutes later, we'll know everything is fine, can merge it. So let's go back here. I'm just actually wondering, why does it show it as failed? What failed there? Crack commit signed off. Oh, okay, right. So the issue now is that I fixed the sign off, but that doesn't line up with the offer. Yeah. Okay. So let's go fix that. So it's more rebasing. I'm going to do edit on the two commits. So it effectively boils down to just a git config that's not optimal right now on that contributor side. So to fix that thing, you can do this. So amend with the correct offer string, and the offer string should be effectively the same as the sign off. So first name, last name, email address, effectively. Okay. So nothing visible really happened here other than this line down here changed. So I'm gonna save that. Okay. And do the same thing on the next commit. Save again. Cool. And now we're done. So if I git push, I did the same one twice. Whoops. Rebase continue. Okay, now I'm in the other one. Save that. And then continue. Rebase is done. And push false. Okay. So this time we should see that GitHub is happy with it. And the tests don't really matter here because I'm going to be done with the other two commands before those tests have given me any kind of meaningful result. The way we've got GitHub Actions set up, it's fine. It will just cancel the test, so we're not really wasting resources. But what I'm cared about here, which was the sign-off test, this one clears just fine now, so we're good. All right. So if I look for the name of the other branches, there we go. Let's go and take wait ready. So if I look at the wait ready branch here, those are the two commits that were added. So we're gonna go and cherry pick this one. Okay, this failed. That's kind of what I was expecting. Like, because all those commands touch the same files, then they would conflict naturally when applied. So that's why I don't really want them as three different pull requests in this case. So let's just go ahead and fix that. It's a pretty straightforward one. I mean, it's not a complex fix by any kind of definition. It's just that, and cmd incus and rebase cherry pick continue, and we're good. Okay, now I need to go and get the other commit, which is the one fixing the tests. So let's go and pick that one up. Okay, that one applied cleanly. And then next step is we need to do a rebase again. I need to go and edit those two because they need the sign-off string changed, they need the offer changed as well, and they just need that title changed. So I'm gonna go and edit and do all of that in one shot. So amend the offer, which then goes and needs to be copy pasted there too. Not good at using that mouse very much. There we go, that should be fine. Okay, and this one is cmd incus, move incus d wait ready, incus admin wait ready, that's fine. Okay, and then we continue the rebase and edit that commit as well. Yeah, I see this one is actually already closer to our normal naming style, so that's cool. Let's just fix that. All right. So now we have command Incus, move Incus D shutdown to Incus admin shutdown, and then use Incus admin shutdown. Then we've got move Incus admin wait ready to Incus admin wait ready, use Incus admin wait ready. Okay, so this the formulation is exactly right. The sign of string is the same everywhere, so that looks good. That is wait ready done. So just need to actually finish that rebase. There we go. Which now means we need to get SQL. Might as well just push that to GitHub. Again, it's gonna just cancel everything, but gives it a bit of time to try and get some test results already before we're done with SQL. SQL should be a bit more complex. There are more moving pieces, so I expect that one might be a bit trickier. We'll see. All right, so let's go back here and look at the branches again and do the same trick where we get a git log of the branch that we care about. So that's the SQL one. There we go. It's one again, it's got 2 commits, so exactly the same deal. I suspect this one's gonna fail probably the same way. Nope. Okay, so we got lucky. Git's got enough context that it managed to line things up and didn't hit a conflict, so that's cool. Okay, do this one. Okay, now that one is failing. What's that one doing exactly? Zero to remove. Okay. Alright, so naturally main SQL. I'm actually kind of confused to why it modified. Huh. Okay, let's abort that cherry pick. Okay. I want to see what this one does. Move Incus D SQL to, okay, and SQL. So it does move the 2. Oh, okay. So it moves the 2 commands, but doesn't actually use them. Okay. Also remember that I forgot to add the build tag on the previous one. So if I go and shut down this guy, again, I should be using a UI for that. So if I go look at, which one was it? Wait ready. Yeah. So wait ready up here doesn't have the build tag, so I should just go and copy paste that up there. And then save this thing. There was a blank line between the 2. Okay, yeah. Cool. Just save that. And then go and add it to the correct commit. Yeah. So let me just go and fix that one real quick before we look at the SQL stuff. So this one goes here. Okay. So first thing first, this one I'm gonna be amending, to amend and author and everything. So I'm gonna fix those bits. Command Incus, move Incus SQL to admin SQL. So the title is our usual one. That's good. I think it's just the content is kind of missing. We've got the 2 files that were moved. Well, not been moved, they've just been copied. So it misses some changes. So on the Incus D side, if we look at main SQL, there's just 1 file, so that needs to go away, which is gonna make the code a bit sad. So if we just try and build it, there we go, unknown command SQL, and that's in main.go. So if we go main.go, this one, and then we go look here, that SQL subcommand needs to go away. Okay, so that should fix that. And looks like it did. Yeah. Okay, so Incus builds again, we're good. Just making sure there's no formatting change or anything needed. Now we're fine. Okay, so now next step is to go and modify the Incus. It's actually main SQL here. Yeah. What's in admin SQL? There's nothing in there? Oh, that's a problem. Okay, let me actually take a closer look. So Yeah, there's nothing in this one, nothing in that one. Okay, cool. So the commands were not actually transferred, it's just placeholders. I should have looked at that first. Cool. So if we go and do a diff on the file I just removed, main SQL.go, this dude, and then revision. Oh yeah, because I didn't actually commit it yet, have I? Okay, so let's just undo the removal. Okay, and now actually move that over to command incus main. I suspect it's because this one brings a bunch of internal stuff along with it. That's why I like the two different files and all that stuff. So let's just clean things up a tiny bit here. Okay. So if I go look now at admin SQL up here, we want the build tag in place. That's a good start. So this should be admin SQL command admin SQL. So just kind of the boilerplate rename stuff. Okay, this is fine. Let's save it like that and see the damage. Right, so we're missing a bunch of functions called internal SQL dump and all that kind of stuff. Let's see if we can locate them. So it's internal SQL dump. Right, and they come from within API internal. We can see them here. I think the idea of having the separate file, the admin SQL internal, was to hold those. They don't seem to be used in the server-side code, or are they? Yeah, no, they are. Okay, cool. So that's gonna be slightly trickier. I think what we're gonna be doing is create a new package called internal SQL and move those types and functions and stuff over there, and then import that from both the daemon code and the client. Pretty sure that was the intention there, given the file structure. So then I go and do that. So if I go back to an Explorer and I go look at my packages, we want a new. So I'm actually wondering what's the cleanest way to do this. Like the way I would normally structure it is actually to first do that package. So a new package called SQL, move those functions over, keep the current server code functional with that, and then move over the client. That's probably the better way to do it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is actually switch over to just look at what's going on there. Okay, so we're just gonna include all of those changes for now in that one commit, because that's where they need to go at some point anyways. Okay, and I'm gonna switch over to my branch. That way it gives me like a clean space I can use. And in here now the goal is to create that new SQL package and move those internal functions over to that. Get the server, well, get Incus to build properly and function, and then cherry pick that commit into the other branch, and then rebase it on that effectively. So I'm gonna create a new package, just a folder, SQL. And now I need those functions. Where were they? They were defined in API internal. There we go. And it was there, like internal SQL dump, SQL query, SQL batch, SQL result. So all of those should move out of there. And they don't seem to use any weirdish type. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, that seems reasonably straightforward. So we'll just make a new file. Let's Incus this. I want my SQL package, and in there create a new file. I'm gonna just struct.go. The package for that is SQL. And do we need any imports for that stuff? Doesn't strike me as us needing anything, actually. That would be nice. So let's just take them all. Save that, move them there. And obviously the naming needs to change because now they're gonna become public symbols and the internal stuff can go away. It's already an internal package, so it's gonna assume that this is all internal anyways. The internal here doesn't really reflect, well, it's mostly about it being over the internal API, which is a local only API that we use for admin actions like this. Okay, SQL dump represents a full database dump. Just making the static analysis happy. And I realize those are like the worst comments ever because they really don't tell you what it is about. But the reality is that I don't really know what those things are about anyways. There we go, and SQL result represents the query result. I guess that should be accurate enough. Now let's see if we can build that package correctly. So it's internal SQL. Yeah, that seems like it built. Cool. Kind of surprised it didn't show me anything, but yeah, okay. We can close that now. And if we try to build the entirety of Incus, it should fail because those functions are now missing. There we go. And now it's time to go and fix that. So if we look for internal SQL dump here, now this becomes internal SQL. Yeah, the SQL is actually kind of redundant, isn't it? But anyway, let's just go for that. The good thing with internal is that we can always change that later, so that's not a huge deal. I'm actually kind of tempted to just do it the lazy way by doing a good amount of sed. So if we see internal SQL spelled like that, actually, no, I kind of messed things up here. So just undo that removal still needs to go there, save. So I'm gonna do anything that I see with internal SQL spelled like that becomes internal SQL dot instead. Well, dot SQL like that. Okay. And this applies, it's only top level, I think, so it should be fine with that. And now if I run make, it should just complain. Okay, it completes, I messed things up even worse than I thought. 97, what did I do now? Let's go see. It's very all right. Yeah, that's not good. Fine. Because there's like some actual functions that are named internal SQL, so we can't go and mess those up. That was a bit, my pattern was maybe a bit too wide. So let me go and fix the few I broke and the rest should be okay. So yeah, obviously this is quite messed up. Let's go, and this becomes internal SQL gets, that's fine. 437 is the next one. There we go, internal SQL. I should have done a better set pattern. It would have saved me a bit of time. It's not a huge deal. Oops, yeah, internal SQL select, that's fine. And 551 is the last one in that file apparently. So there. Now let's try it again, see what it says. That's better. So that's what I was expecting. Now it just complains it doesn't know what internal SQL is, which is kind of the point. And now we just go and add the missing import. So internal SQL is GitHub Incus internal SQL. There. So that should sort out this file, and then we need to do the same thing with main SQL. So main SQL, and that will go somewhere in here. Okay, let's make sure this thing builds. Internal SQL command, SQL get, SQL post, SQL select, SQL exec. Okay, so it's complaining about more stuff now. Let's see what that's about. Oh, okay, I think there's probably a dispatcher function. Maybe that's wrong. Something else I broke by accident, most likely. Let's see. Yeah, so that's definitely busted. Okay, let's fix that one. Cool. So 101, 102. Let's go fix those two. Yeah. Should really have been a bit more careful with my sed. 485, 488. Okay. Let's go fix those two. Because those are just, they're not related to the package I created, they're just function names. So collateral damage of what I made earlier. There we go. Okay, does this thing build now? Looks like it does. So that's good. Cool. So just run the updater there, then add internal SQL, and do internal SQL introduce new package. So we'll just do internal SQL actually for that. Okay. And then for the rest, I'm gonna do Incus the use internal SQL. Okay, so it gives me those two commits, and that should be fine. Let's run static analysis just to make sure things all behave. And then if it's good, I'm gonna switch back to the other branch, cherry pick those two commits in there, and then proceed with moving of the CLI command, and that should be fine. Okay, I think the most critical tests have all been passed, so we're good. I'm not running like a full test suite, just doing static analysis to make sure I didn't mess anything up badly. Okay, we're good. So let's switch back to the other branch, which was this guy. Okay, and now I'm gonna git cherry pick. So that my first commit should cherry pick just fine. Yep. So the idea is that I can go and put that kind of up here. That should be fine. I never quite remember if that works. Let's see. So I'm going to just edit the next commit in the line. Okay, and as part of that one, I'm going to cherry pick from the second commit effectively, and then continue the rebase. That should now work, but fail in the last commit, or not fail. That's interesting. I was expecting failure there. Okay, let me see if everything is in there the way I thought it should be. Tests. Yeah. Okay. So in case they use internal. Yeah. Okay. They're both here. Okay, that's good. Just reorder things a bit more. So we can say introduce new package and then use internal SQL, and then the other changes are there. So now that last commit should be able to update that to use the internal SQL package, and things should work. So let's see. Okay, that worked better than expected. I was expecting a failure there. Let's see, admin SQL in command Incus, yeah. Okay, so yeah, the Git did do the right thing. It doesn't always do that. It actually figured that since the file was a rename, as part of the rebase, it did take the change I applied in the earlier commit, and we can see it here. So now that actually works. That's really surprising, but that's nice. Let me check. Obviously, one thing that's missing here is that we're not currently setting it up. So I need to actually attach the new command here. So it's just SQL cmd command admin SQL. Okay, and shut down SQL cmd again. Okay. Now let's make sure things still build. Command admin SQL. Okay, so it's complaining about that, which is fine. It's because this one. What does it find it? Command admin. Oh, it's not capitalized. That's weird. I would have expected us to always capitalize SQL. Let me just make that look better. There we go. Yeah, all right. Cool. So Incus admin SQL. I've got the commands there. We do. Let me just actually do a quick test. I believe I'm probably not in the right groups. I need to switch to Incus admin. There you go. SQL the global dump. Yeah, works fine. Sweet. Okay, so that's good. Now we can just go ahead and edit that commit to include all that stuff in. So move Incus D SQL to Incus admin SQL. Let's go, save that. All right, and now that this is done, the next step is to modify the tests, because if we go look for, let's say, SQL local, yeah, there are a bunch of tests here that need fixing, and SQL global is probably worse. Yep. So the good thing is that we can mostly take off with a set pattern. So we're gonna do anything that says Incus D SQL space becomes Incus admin SQL space. In place, replace everything in the test suite. Okay. So what are we left with? So I'm just checking that. Okay, so there's a thing in the debugging doc, don't care, because doc is all gonna be sorted in one shot at the end. And we can see also doc for the local thing. Okay, so it should be fine. And now we can commit that one as tests. What was the syntax again for the test ones? So tests use Incus admin SQL. Okay, and now force push all that stuff. Actually, let me just check that the offers and stuff is correct. This one was, I missed an S here, so that's not good. Let me go and fix that one, otherwise the test's gonna fail. It's this one, I think. Just made a typo. Oops. I should have done reword instead of edit, but that's fine. Okay. So sign off is correct, offer is correct, offer is correct, that's correct, that looks fine, Okay, I think we're good. So I'm gonna push that over to GitHub now. So if we look, okay, it's been pushed, you can see commits here. And so it shows the first two commits were offered by me, that's fine. Then we've got a batch of commits here that were created by our community member with some changes that I did as part of like rebase and small tweaks, and then the last commit is from me. So that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and close the other two as superseded by number 99. Okay, so just do that here and here. Cool. And at this point, just waiting for the tests to clear on this one. We can actually go look at the test a bit closer. So The code test is what runs most of the static analysis and a quick build test. Sign off, branch target, PR labels, those are very, very quick and I've already run, it's fine. Then the system tests, those can take quite a bit longer. The client tests are pretty quick, especially in this case because I don't really expect much to happen there. And doc test is also pretty quick. That actually just reminded me, I'm not sure that I got the Linux tag thing on all of them. I'm actually gonna just go ahead and command Incus. So that's the list of admin commands we have. We do a list, and if I go and grep for build Linux in command Incus admin, that's what that looks like. So obviously admin go is fine, auto dump is fine, in is fine, interactive is fine, preset is fine, other should have a not Linux, it's fine, shutdown SQL wait ready. Okay, so yeah, they all have it, so that's all clean. Just easier to use grep rather than going through the pull request. All right, so let's look at the tests. We can see that the client test on Ubuntu macOS already done. So we're just waiting for Windows here, because that's a completed one, and that's a completed one too. So I can see that it effectively just builds the binary, in this case directly on a Windows platform through GitHub Actions. And then it builds also the binary for Incus migrate, which I don't believe it does on Windows because it doesn't make too much sense. Then it runs the basic client unit tests and then calls it good. Windows is definitely the slowest platform as far as testing. Like macOS is a fair bit faster. I don't know why exactly. You'd think that GitHub belonging to Microsoft would have slightly better, slightly faster Windows infrastructure, but anyways. The other tests we're running here, that's the code test, so it's static analysis primarily. You can see it building, and it's now running the static analysis target. I did run that locally, so there's pretty much no chance that this is gonna fail, but still, it was interesting to see. Okay, I can see Windows is now running the tests. It's uploading the artifacts, it's putting the actual binary over to GitHub, and we're done. So client tests are all good. Documentation, we didn't touch it, so it should be fine. But yeah, it's effectively building the docs, running some tests to make sure that all of the wording is fine, that there's no issue with any of the links. That Sphinx itself, so the documentation builder spits out no error or anything. And if that's all good, then this is gonna clear as well. And the other tests, those are going to take a lot longer, so I'm not going to make you wait to see what happens, but they're effectively split in two. We've got, so let's just open one of them. Okay, so this one is Go 120 cluster, so cluster test on the directory backend. This runs all the tests that are cluster related, and we run that on multiple Go versions as well as multiple storage drivers. We can see here we're running on 120, on stable, which is 121, and on tip, which is current Go Git effectively. So that's being, we run that with the current, or the previous stable, in this case 120, running on all of the backends, so all of the storage backends. And then the other one's just doing a sanity check to make sure the compiler and general binary is functional, but not testing every single storage backend. The cluster tests are a bit faster than the rest. I think they usually take 10 to 15 minutes tops to run. The full system test, so if we look at, say, standalone directory here, this takes more in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 minutes. But then we've got the Ceph test, which runs against a small Ceph cluster run within the test suite. This one takes the longest. It can take 50 minutes to an hour to complete, which is effectively what ends up holding the entire pull request as far as being able to review them and merge them. But in general, we get a full test run within an hour and a half or so, at which point they can be merged. So The other thing I would normally do on a pull request like this is actually go through the commits. So just go in the GitHub UI, look at the commits, make sure they make sense, make sure that like the comment structure, that everything lines up with what we normally expect. Also the commit title. Then we've got internal SQL here, same deal. So that's the update to this one is a bit more of a mechanical update for the server side bit. And then there we go. So that's the shutdown command. It's fine. Then the test for shutdown. Again, that's pretty mechanical. Just briefly checking that there's nothing weird. Like we don't want to see like an extra file being added. We don't want to see like a big chunk of code going missing or anything. It's really just like a quick sanity check. Then wait ready, same deal. That's pretty straightforward. Actually, I just want to check something here. Yeah, okay, so the name has been changed, that's good. And then again, mechanical change here, it's fine. Then Incus is equal to Incus admin SQL, it's fine too. Can just see there was like a white space here that got cleared. Not sure what was that, what was going on, but it's going the right way around. If it was the other way around, I would have gone and cleared that. So that's all good. And what do we have next? Next is the update on the admin, which was probably one of the largest commits in this case, but it's completely generated by a single sed run. So there's not expecting any surprises, to the point where GitHub actually shows that it's a large diff, but it usually does that when it thinks it's auto-generated, which this was. So as we can see, always the same change everywhere, so that's fine. Cool, so that looks fine. So I'll just go review change. Let's approve this branch. So submitting that. And now for the rest, just waiting for GitHub to be happy. The code tests, where are we at with those? Okay, it's running the full set of unit tests, which I didn't run locally. There's actually a bunch of tests around the database stuff, so it's good. It's gonna make sure nothing regressed with the SQL change. And that looks like it doesn't take very long to run those usually, so it's probably about done already. Yeah, we're getting to the last few ones. And the documentation is currently at validating all of the links to make sure nothing's broken, which it just did. Now it's just building the actual website, well, the documentation website, make sure that this all looks good. Okay, so code test is clear now. This one should be clear in a few more seconds, which would then leave us with just waiting for all of the system tests to complete. And that will happen over the next, when would the first one be done? Like 10 minutes or so. To give you a bit of an idea, actually this one switched to red, why? Is GitHub actually see a failure? It did. What failed? Stable cluster directory pull request. What happened? Did we actually break something? Okay, ta-da. So if we go back up to where the post-failure cleanup started, which in cluster.test is not always trivial to spot, to be fair, because there's a lot of daemons and stuff going on at once. Okay, let's try to find the cleaning up string. Nope. Let's do raw logs. It could just be a false positive that happens every so often, it's fine, but okay, that's gonna take a bit of time if I don't. Let's do the easy way. Okay, there we go. Failure to execute query, no such column foo. Okay, which is fine. So Incus admin SQL global selects images fingerprint from images from project where projects name equals foo. I mean, this is technically correct in that if it's not quoted, oh, it is quoted here, but it's not quoted here. That's interesting. Okay, so this is an actual regression, and most likely, yeah, it's trying to see it on all of them. Okay, I don't know why that would happen. It's about like how we quote the commands. I wonder if there was special handling for that in the Incus D calls, maybe in the CLI. Anyway, it's interesting. Okay, so we want name equals foo. Let's see. Because the first thing I want is to reproduce that locally in a way that doesn't take half an hour to get to. Can we find this test? Okay, so it's one of those tests here in the clustering test suite, which makes sense. That's what we're looking at. So I mean, I should probably be able to just run a test command actually. So if I do that, Incus admin SQL global select. So I want to make sure that there's no issue in the command line parsing itself. So instance is fine, where name is foo. Okay, so there's no obvious issue with quoting directly in the CLI tool, which yeah then makes it more likely that okay, so this is one of the queries. Name equals foo, and it's passing it as a single quoted query string with double quote around the parameter. Okay, so let's see, is there a problem if I do that? If not, then it means it's a test suite that's got some weird handling. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Because the test suite has some interesting wrappers set up. I suspect that's probably the issue here. So when calling Incus D, actually want the right, so I think Incus D was not wrapped, was incus.sh. When we call it, Incus is actually not the binary. It calls through Incus remote, which is here, and then that does a bunch of interesting escaping and stuff. I suspect that's where the issue lies. What's the best way to handle this mess? Like, it kind of needs an extra level of escaping, which is not ideal. Just debating what's the best option. There are some other ways to run that particular query that will avoid this issue. And the issue is not user affecting, to be clear. It's only the test suite wrapper kind of messing things up because of the mix of the single quote and double quote stuff in there. I suspect that if we go the other way around, it may not fail. Okay, so anyway, first thing I need to do is actually getting this test to fail the same way. So I need to actually locate what the name of the test is, so I can just rerun it. Those tests are a bit long. Clustering image refresh, okay. So let's set up to run that test locally. So moving into the test suite, and then Incus verbose. So I get a bit more details. Incus temperfest, so we don't mess with my file system. Okay, and then run the test suite, and let's limit it to only the one test we want. And there's no need for the test prefix here. So if I run that, this should fail the exact same way. Okay, that failed way too fast. Oh, my system doesn't have IP tables. Okay. Right, let's fix that. Okay, so it's now running the actual test suite, and it failed no such column foo. Good. So we're getting the exact same problem here. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Just gonna let it fail, and then I'm gonna try and switch the quotes so that we use double quotes for the full query, but then use single quote for the actual parameter, and see if that goes through better. Or maybe I can just pass in single quotes, just escaping them in there. That might work too. Just trying to get around the fact that we've got a shell wrapper around that function. Takes a little while to fail. That's the one of the annoyances with clustering tests. They take a while. Okay. So if we look name foo there. Okay. So let's try this approach first. Like, there are a bunch more of them that are going to have the same problem, but let's see if we can get past the foo one. It should just fail on the next one, but that's fine. I'll take that. If it works, I'll apply it to the other queries. Okay, so that failed differently. Missing required arguments. Web project. Okay, what's going on with this one? Default and bar. Okay, so we did get past foo. This is one messy query. Okay, it looks like it worked, even though the actual output of the shell here is a bit of a disaster. So I'm going to try and apply the same fix to the other queries and see if that fixes it. So we've got the exact same problem down here with default and with bar. So let's go and do the same thing here. And then we've got a bunch more of them here. It's somewhat rare that we actually test the database directly with SQL queries like that, but this is definitely a case where we do. So just need to work around it. I guess the better fix would be to make sure that quotes actually do go through the shell wrapper properly, but that can get very, very tricky to get right. It's going to be significantly faster to just fix the tests like that if it works. So I'm just going to try that again. Missing required arguments, so it failed on something. What did it fail on? Incus admin SQL global. Yeah, it's as if it didn't get the query at all, as like an escaped thing. You can see the eval is fine, but then the actual command being run is not. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is a bit frustrating. I mean, one way to do it is to actually disable, within the scope of that test, disable the redirection. So the wrappers we've got around Incus itself. The current Incus command, effectively turning it back to how it worked before. Getting tempted to do that because that would solve that problem very cleanly. Here we can see. Okay, so it shows 2 equals 2, so those queries are fine. Then PIDs equal, and then something weird happens. Let's see if we can just figure out what that is. PIDs equal. I'm not sure if I'm in the right test even. Okay, here. Okay, so we get done here. That's fine. Oh, hold on. What's going on here? It's like there's some weird string handling. Yeah, there's something wrong going on here. Something very wrong going on. Select. It's as if the shell thinks that the string is not ended, but I do have single quotes on both sides, so I'm kind of confused to why it's freaking out like that. Like that's pretty sure you're supposed to escape it, otherwise we're gonna have problems, but let's try not, maybe? Let's see how far we get with it that way. My guess would be not very far, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, what did we fail? No such column foo, but is that the one we're looking at or the next one? Okay. Okay, we're back to name equals foo. Not sure if it's the first one or the other one. Sadly doesn't give me a line number, which would have been convenient, but doesn't. Okay, let's go see. Name equals foo. So there's that one which I've done, and then this other one there. So let's just switch to single quote everything and see what happens. Suspect that this is getting lost again when the wrapper runs. That's what I would expect anyways, but let's see. I suspect I'm going to end up with the lazy approach of just disabling the wrapper for those tests and just calling it done. That will be fine. Okay, so just do a retest, but I think it's going to fail the exact same way. Yep, failing, no such coming through. Okay. Yeah, so that's not working. And that's really because of passing through like three commands that each are trying not to mess up the arguments, like the figuring out whether it's a shell argument or whether it's a single argument with double quotes and stuff. There are 2 ways to fix that. I might actually do the other way to fix it. So trying to recap, escaping things doesn't seem like it's gonna work. I could undo the wrapper function, which would then work fine, but that means that some of our handling around debugging and verbosity and stuff won't work, which is a bit annoying. The other option is we can read queries through std_in. So specifically, if I do SQL global select from instances, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is this. Thought it did anyways. Come on. Yeah, so that works. So if I do this approach instead, that should work fine. So let's try that. So it's clustering, yeah, and then okay. So we're gonna be having to change things a tiny bit. So it's just a bit annoying to do it, because I can't easily script it. That's the annoyance. Actually, let me undo all changes to that file first. That will be the best option. So if I undo all changes, and then we go here. Okay. So the command, right, so we want to do echo the query, pipe this entire stuff here. I'm confused by what the, okay. So it's just not very readable, and that's always the issue with those tests. It's not designed to be readable, really. Okay, so this is the actual command I need. So I just remove all that mess, I echo this stuff, pipe it into the same command here, dash, and pipe it into the rest. That should be fine. And we only need to do it whenever we do use the string and the problematic string. So this one needs it, that one needs it, but the others don't. And that should be fine, hopefully. So again, we'll just paste this. And let's do it for that one too. Just checking everyone lines up. That should be okay. Okay. That's not the cleanest thing ever, but I'll take it. Then we have the same problem with that chunk here. Let me check if it also does do the exact same queries. Looks like it does. Okay, that's convenient. If it does, I can just copy paste the whole chunk. That's gonna make me much happier. So that chunk here. I'm hoping this one is the exact same thing again. Okay, hopefully that's fine. Let's see. This is why there's no such thing as an easy, quick fix in software development. Okay, so we're hitting shutdown, which is a good sign, hopefully. Are we shutting down because things worked? Not seeing any failures. Yep, success. Sweet. Okay, so that was entertaining. Just gonna merge that stuff into the update of the tests for admin SQL and push that to GitHub. So that's how you fix a surprise last-minute failure. Okay, the rest is not doing much better. So why? Do we have a similar mess somewhere else? Let's see. Snapshot volume database record recovery. Yeah, that seems like a function that will do the exact same thing. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. snapshot volume database record recovery. Okay, well, at least we know how to fix it now. So main recovery. What's the name of that test? Snapshot volume database record recovery. There we go. Okay. So database record. Right. Not this one. Volume DB. Okay, so it's in that file here. There we go, and we are doing a database query. That's not good. From patches where name equals something. Yep. Okay, exactly the same problem. And this is just a delete statement. So, and it's in the local database. Okay. So we'll just do admin SQL local like that. And then echo the query. For good measure, I might as well do the other one. It's not, doesn't have the problem, but that will just make it look more consistent. And pipe that into Incus, Incus admin SQL. This one was a global query, so let's do it like that. That should take care of that particular failure. Obviously, there's no telling if there are more of those. That's going to be the surprise to deal with over the next little while. Just want to amend previous comment. There we go, and force push. Okay, so that's those two failures fixed. There might be more. Gonna see as the tests run. I could do a full test suite run locally, but the reality is that they run this task quickly on GitHub, and GitHub does more tests in parallel, so I might as well just have GitHub do it for me. If I knew that the failures were all around the same kind of area of the code, I could run just that chunk of the test suite to make sure everything is fine. But yeah, in this case, it can be anywhere because it's anything that touches the database. So gonna let GitHub go through them. And I think we're gonna call that a wrap. I was hoping to do a few more things, but I'm quite happy with having those draft pull requests turned into a more final product. Hopefully the tests all go green, and within the next hour I can merge that. At which point I will prepare a branch for the remaining of those comments, as was listed, I think, in the issue here. If we go there. Yeah, there are a few more. So effectively, we got those three done. There's still recover and cluster to be done. So we'll do those two and then close the issue. And then I can work on the remaining code reshuffle and hopefully have that done today. And then that clears the way to more work around cherry picking fixes and stuff from LXD into Incus ahead of the stable release, if all goes well, end of next week. All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, if you want to see how things go, we do update the online demo on a daily basis. So you can go there and you can play with the latest Incus. Those Incus admin commands, for example, they should show up there tomorrow. That's the idea. Currently only Incus admin init exists in that environment. So if we go there and just start it, Incus admin, it will only have the init command, as you can see, that you could run to go through things. It's gonna change tomorrow, and it's gonna have the other subcommands added. All right. Well, hopefully this was interesting. It's definitely a bit bumpy, but that's how it is when you work on those kind of issues. And maybe you learn something. Maybe you learn more about kind of how do we work on Incus, how the test suites and that kind of stuff works, how issues work. If you've got any questions around any of it, just feel free to leave the comments down below. You can also go on our community forum, where we've been getting more Incus related discussions lately. So that's been quite good to see. You can see here the Incus tag with some discussions. If you do want to support the work, feel free to help us out with direct contributions to the project. That'd be great. If you want to be an early adopter, that's cool too. Just don't run that on a production system. We have about 5,000-ish active users right now, which is quite amazing to see for a project doesn't even have a stable release yet. And if you want to support me directly for this work, you can find me on GitHub sponsors. The link is down below. And yeah, thank you very much. And I'll see you most likely next week. Thanks.